Stories are the things that hold us back. They propel us forward. They're visible, they're invisible. And I've been thinking a lot about that in terms of how do we move forward and go after the things we really want and in a way that feels really good. And this started because my husband shared this story with me. There was this guy in India who really wanted to be a director and really struggled to get any kind of traction. He ended up leaving Bombay with his wife, who also worked in cinema, decided, you know what? I'm going to take a chance. I'm going to take a risk. I really want to be a director. Moved to an area with salt mines, and he and his wife created a movie around two little girls that worked in the salt mines. This was something they did on their own dime, all by themselves. They ended up living in a hut like the people who worked in salt mines because that's all they could afford. He made a movie and he edited it himself. He launched it. There really wasn't much attention. It was 5 years after he created this movie that it got a lot of attention and it won a prestigious award. And since then, he's really been able to become a director. Story is such a powerful media for how we show up in life. They inspire inaction. They inspire the decisions that we make. They inspire us to believe what's possible and what's not. And so I started thinking about this through the lens of, okay, how do you do this when you think about life design? And I was realizing like there are two really big types of stories that we have. So there are these like external stories that we see. Hi, Raymond. Right? What we might see in film or on social now, or written. A lot of what has inspired me in life really comes from the stories that I've consumed. It's introduced me to new ideas, new possibilities I'd never even thought of as like, oh, this could be a real thing. And then we have in the inner stories. These are the stories, the beliefs that we have that really impact how we experience our world, how we make decisions in our world, how we move forward and act in our world. One thing that's really missing from the topic around like story or narratives that you have is we think a lot around conscious narrative, conscious stories, but we know that a lot of our actions are driven by the subconscious still, and a lot that shaped us when we were kids, which we probably don't remember. But then I was thinking about like, oh, if we go even deeper, it's what is the body's story telling us? Our body also holds stories. Like our body actually stores stories and emotions and it holds it. This is why we can have like a lot of tension in areas, and there's a lot of different ideas around like what they can mean and how you interpret them. But what I've found through my personal experience and just like the feedback I've gotten from my clients is the body really speaks first and foremost, and we're not listening to the story that our body tells us. And so if we think about this in the context of, okay, how am I really creating a life that I love, right? Maybe right now you're really focused on your career, or it's how do I build deeper relationships, or it's maybe around my wealth. All of these stories show up. And so we may think that we've done a lot of the inner work for our thought stories of, oh, I've changed my relationship to money, or I've changed my relationship to what contribution means, or I've changed my relationship to self-worth around the work that I do and my output. But what is the story that your body's telling you? Are you just trying to convince yourself in your mind? When I notice this happening, it's like, okay, let's pause and stop and listen to the body. Where is there an incongruence? Where do I feel tension? Most of the time when there's an incongruence, I feel like tension in my jaw, the creeping up of the shoulders, kind of like a knot in my chest, sometimes a heaviness. And I go in and I do some like inner work and like visualizing it, connecting to that sensation, understand what it's trying to tell me, and seeing where I have a blind spot. Because ultimately that's what the body's doing. It's helping me recognize, hey, your conscious thought might have part of the story, but not all of the story. I just wanted to bring that up as a topic for today because it's probably driving while you're watching this video now. It's probably going to drive what you do afterwards. It's going to drive how you show up at work. It's going to drive how you choose to interact with the people in your life. Just hearing me say this, maybe take a moment and just notice like, how does it feel to hear this? Is this like an exciting thing? Or am I feeling resistance? And where might that be coming from? Because all of these things are stories, right? If there's excitement, it's like, ooh, maybe your story is like, growth is the way that I find deep satisfaction and fulfillment in my life. That's what leads me towards the success that I'm looking towards. And then if there's the resistance of like, this chick doesn't know what she's talking about, maybe it's a moment to just pause. Be like, okay, where's this belief coming from? Because that is a story. What is your body telling you? Are you going into a protective mode? When we think about how we put this into practice in the bigger perspective of creating sustainable success and a life that you really love from the inside out, it's connecting into the body, but also what story do I want to create? How do I want to feel in my body? What is going to be the thing that propels me towards what I really, actually, right, truly want? The thing where I wake up in the morning, I'm like, I fucking love my life. How can we feel that way? It's kind of the art of living. It's the hardest art to master because it's always changing, and the stories play one of the most important parts because it's the thing that shifts you from forcing to expanding. And this is something I've learned over the last several years of how can I move from forcing, i.e., like type A personality of I've got this thing, I'm going to do it, and I'm just going to go at it no matter how exhausted I am until I achieve it. Sometimes we need to do that. But I've really learned to move into the other of how can I move towards the thing that feels better. And so I've had to replace a lot of the stories that I've told myself and continue to because I notice stories every single day in my life. And I need to understand, okay, is this a story that I want to continue with? Is it serving me? Or is this story actually limiting me and holding me back from where I need to go? So that's the thing the thoughts I've been playing with around stories. And hopefully it can maybe introduce a new idea for you, something to experiment with. Would love to hear maybe one takeaway that you have. You can add it in the comments. The takeaway for me and maybe an action item for you if you want to experiment is my takeaway is how can I start to bring in more of these external stories, right? Movies, books, TV shows, other forms of stories that I might collect externally to inspire me towards the life that I'm working towards, that next level vision, so I can see it, right? So my brain can say, hey, this is a possibility. It's real. How can I really use media to shape my stories from the external? But then internally, how can I start to notice stories? You're probably going to start with thoughts first, and then we move into the body versus the body and thoughts. The thoughts will probably be the signal. And over time, the body will probably be the signal. When you notice a story, write down the story or just say it aloud. This is the story that's shaping me. Scan through the body, head to toe. How is the body responding to this story? Where is there contraction? Where is there expansion? Expansion normally indicates we're moving in the direction that feels good for us. Contraction is, hey, something's off. Maybe pay attention to me. Could be an old pattern that you just need to shift into something that's more powerful. Maybe it's a natural protection that the body's like, hey, you're not thinking about this piece. But take a moment to really connect into that, to the body. And then from there, when we think about the story is, okay, moving forward, how will this story serve me? How might this story hold me back? And what do I want to do about that? Is it keeping the story? Is it changing the story? And then changing the story is just every time noticing that it's coming up, starting to reframe, starting to ask questions, to get curious, to tap back into the body, to ask questions like, what would make this feel expansive for me? What would make this story feel good for me? What could I do that helps me connect more deeply to where I really want to go in a way that feels really, really good to me? So maybe that's like some action items. I hope this was helpful, and I will see you in one of our next videos. Ciao, ciao for now.